Hey, I'm Matthew. I used to work at Oculus and Instagram, and now I help coaches unlock the best life on earth. So I used to use tons of different apps like Notes and Google Sheets and Google Docs and all kinds of stuff until I found Notion, and that's all I use now. So I wanted to show you guys my absolute favorite app that I use for everything.
All right, so here we are with demo time for Notion. And the most important thing to remember here is that just like with Legos, you can put stuff together, take stuff apart, nothing is set in stone, just feel free to play around. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is blocks. The second thing that we're going to talk about is using those blocks to build buildings. The third thing is turning those buildings into villages. And the fourth thing is turning those villages into cities. Okay, so blocks. So just like with Legos, there's all kinds of different blocks, 4 blocks, 6 blocks, roof blocks, ground blocks, all kinds of different blocks. And the way that we use blocks in Notion is using the slash. So when you log into Notion for the first time, you should see something like this. And we're just going to create a new page here under private real quick. And we're just going to create empty page. And you can name this demo, like whatever you want, thing, page. And after you hit enter a few times, you can see that you're now on this new line and there's this little grabby thing over here. What that means is that this line that you're on is a block. So if you type text and then you hit enter and then you type more text and you hit enter and you type even more text, all of these text lines are an individual block, which means you can grab them, you can move them around, just like with Legos, you can pull things apart, you can move it around. It makes it really easy to interact with things and move things around, just like you would when playing with Legos. Now, I mentioned slash. What does that do? If I go to a new line here and I hit slash, you can see all the different block types that we have within Notion. So let's just pick heading 1 here. Now I can say a thing in heading 1. And then I'm going to hit enter a few more times, and I'm going to hit slash again to bring up my blocks again. This time I'm going to pick heading 2, heading 2 here. And then this time I'm going to hit slash again to bring up my blocks. And let's make a bullet this time. So a thing here as a bullet. And then let's say we hit enter a few more times and hit slash to bring up my blocks. And let's do a to-do block. Let's see what that looks like. New item, another thing to do, more to do. So here's where Notion gets really fun. You can take this block, you can move it under here, you can take this bullet point if you want to put it here. Basically what you want to do is you can just play around with the different block types and see what's available. I use divider a lot, puts a line there. Let's say you want to split heading 1 and heading 2 like that. Basically, it's super easy to use blocks to build whatever you want. Another block I use a lot is called toggle list. Things go in here. And then let's say I want to put my heading 2 in here. I can drag it inside there. Let's say I want these to-do items in there. I drag that and this. And when I flip this open, you can see everything that I had goes in here. This is how I keep my pages really organized. So now I'm going to show you something that Notion can do that you can't do with real Lego blocks. And that's called transforming. So what you want to do is you want to click as though you're going to drag on this block, and you click turn into, and instead of a to-do item, let's make it a bullet. So that item that was a to-do item is now a bullet. So let's say I want to turn this into a heading, turn into heading 1. It's really easy to basically transform blocks into other blocks. It's really easy to move blocks around. Again, very much like Lego. Okay, so we got slash, which is how you create blocks, and we've got turn into, so we're good there. Now let's use our blocks to build something. So this is a page, and all the blocks that we're using here build up this page. I'm gonna just rename this to demo page, and you can see how it changes it in the sidebar. Under your private area, you can add as many pages as you want. Another page. And you can keep using blocks to do whatever it is that you want to do in here. Thing. Let's put a divider here. Okay, so the last thing I want to mention about pages is the aesthetic. This is also very similar to buildings in that we very much care about the aesthetic of buildings. We also care about the aesthetic of pages. Okay, so let's add some aesthetic to this page. If you hover over the top of this title, you can see these buttons here. Let's click add icon. And that'll allow you to do fish. Nice. Let's see what other fish there are. Fishing. Let's do that. So you can pick any kind of an emoji here for this page, and it will show up in the sidebar here. This page doesn't have one, so let's click into that other page that we made and hit add icon as well. And let's go for space astronaut. Cool. So now we have 2 icons there. Great, so that's how we add a little bit of aesthetic. If you want to go even further, you can click add cover, and that will add an image above here. If you click on change cover, you can click on unsplash to get some photos, and let's go for space again. Let's click on that one. Great, so now we have a cover image to make this page even more aesthetic. Let's do it on our other page as well. Let's click on the other page and then hover over the title and click add cover. And go to change cover and then go to unsplash for photos and then type in fishing. And let's just pick something here. Sick. Okay, let's say we want to reposition this. If you click on reposition, you can then drag it around and hit save position. And now the position looks good. Okay, so we've built some pages or buildings, and now we're going to take some buildings and make some villages. So how do we do that? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this demo page down underneath our work kind of team workspace here. And then I'm going to move our other page into our workspace here too. So when you first created Notion, you created this kind of workspace, and this is the default place that most people create pages. Okay, just like with city planning, you kind of want to plan where the streets are going to be, where the school's going to be, where the football stadium's going to be, those sorts of things. The same is true here. So let's create a new page that says something like client programming. And let's add an icon here and let's make it a shoe. Nice. Okay, so now we've got this client programming page here. I'm going to delete this, which came out of the box, and delete that one as well. All right, so that cleaned that up just a little bit there. Okay, so we've got this client programming page that we just made, and we've got our other 2 pages. If I drag this demo page into client programming, you can see it appear here. If I drag this other page into client programming, you can see it appear here. So that's how you kind of organize pages. Let's say you have a video library. And let's add a little spice to it. Perfect. And then let's say we add another page and let's make this a bunch of warm-up videos. All right, and let's add a fun icon here. Perfect. Okay, so now what I want you to do is drag a bunch of warm-up videos into video library like this. And then click on video library, and you can see a bunch of warm-up videos is now inside video library. So if I click on it, I'm back to the page that I was at. Let's add some content in here. Perfect. And then if I click back on video library, I'm back outside. If I click back in, I'm back inside. Again, this is how we sort of organize our villages, is by organizing pages like this. Just like with a village, you might have a residential area and then a downtown. We kind of want to do the same thing here. So client programming might have a bunch of stuff in it. Video library might have a bunch of stuff in it. If you go into that, you see the stuff. If you go out of that, you can either go back up one here, or you can click out here. And then you can go back into it, back out of it. This is the same as driving into the residential area, looking around, driving back out of the residential area, then driving to the downtown, looking around, driving back out of the downtown. This is basically how you kind of organize things. So client programming, I'm going to rename this page. Let's say that this is actually a client name. So let's call this Brooke Jackson. So Brooke Jackson is a client, let's say, and let's say this person is Tim Henderson. Okay, perfect. So now under client programming, we've got Brooke Jackson and we've got Tim Henderson. If I go in, I'm looking at her stuff. If I go back out and go into Tim, I'm looking at his stuff. So that is how you keep the village organized. One of my favorite things about this is that I can just hover over this and click down, and you can see all the pages within here and just easily get to them. And then I can close it back up. Same with video library. I'm just going to call this warm-up videos. Perfect. So now if I close this, I can't see it. If I open it, I can see it. If I add another page, let's say recovery breathing. Let's add an icon, wind. Nice. Okay. Perfect. So now we've got warm-up videos. We've got recovery breathing. Add some content to recovery breathing, so you can see the difference here. So warm-up videos, recovery breathing. Video library has both of these. I can close this back up if I don't want to look at it. So again, the sidebar is how you're organizing your pages, which is how you're building out your village. Okay, so the last little piece here is favorites, which I use all the time. Basically, if I'm working on a certain page, let's say I am working on warm-up videos a ton, I go up here to the right and click the star, and this new area opens up here called favorites. Now I can do the same thing under client programming. I'm gonna flip this open, click on Brooke, click on the star, and now I have warm-up videos as a favorite and Brooke as a favorite. So any page that you're working on a ton, I tend to favorite it, and then I come in here and open up Notion, and then I just really quickly go to whatever page I'm working on. Okay, so we've built some Lego villages using the sidebar and using favorites. So there's one last thing that we can do, and that's transform our cute little village into a bustling city. What I'm going to show you now is challenging, but I promise you it's amazing. It's much easier than using Excel or Google Sheets or anything, so stick with it. I'm going to try to go through these concepts as simply as I can, but if you have any questions, please reach out in the comments below. So what we're going to do here is for Brooke Jackson, I'm going to hit enter a few times and go down to a new line. If you type / and then you scroll down to database and hit table view, it will add a new database in here. Now databases are incredibly powerful. I'm going to name this Brooks Program. Okay, so I'm going to go through some kind of hacks real quick. I close the sidebar because I don't like looking at it. I also go up here to this more menu and I click on full width because I like looking at my pages in full width. Those are the two kind of little quirks that I have about using Notion. I like those two features. Okay, so to master databases in Notion, you only need to know two things. The first is that columns are properties. So every single column that you see is a property, and every single row that you see is a page. So let me show you how this works. So I'm going to click on this column here. Again, a column is a property. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to put activity, and I'm going to hit enter. And so that will change the name of this property. Then I'm going to hit add property and I'm going to go to select. And then I'm going to click on it again and I'm going to put day as the label for it. So what we've done so far is that we've added a new property called a select property and we've called it day. And then we had this initial property that was in here already and we've called it activity. So now what I'm going to do is add a new row. So activity, I'm going to say pull-ups. And now I'm going to add another row and call it Bulgarian split squats. All right, let's do one more and call it good mornings. Perfect. Okay, now for this on day, we don't have anything in here, so I'm going to put Monday. And then let's say this one is going to be on Tuesday. And then on this one, let's say this was going to be Thursday. Perfect. Okay. Let's do reps and sets. I'm going to click add property and I'm going to go to number. I'm going to retitle this as sets. And then I'm going to add another property and make this one a number as well. And I'm going to call this one reps. Okay, perfect. So now we've got pull-ups. Let's do 3 sets of 6 reps. Perfect. And then let's do 2 sets of 8 reps. And then let's do 3 sets of 12. Okay, perfect. Now we've got 4 columns and 3 rows. If I click open, you can see that it opens this page. You can see that the day is attached as a property, the reps are attached as a property, and sets are attached as a property. So to show you why this is so fun and incredibly amazing, I'm gonna add a few more things in here real fast. Okay, so I added a few more things here and I ran into a problem. I want full body cars on every single day, not just Monday, but if I try to pick every single day, I can't. Just like with Legos, you can pull stuff apart, change it, put it back on. I'm gonna click on this property and I'm going to go to change type. And instead of select, I'm gonna go to multi-select. So now instead of just having to pick one, I can pick all of them. Perfect. So full body cars will be on every single day. All right, I filled the rest of that out. Okay, so now we get to do the amazing part. I want you to go up here to where the title is and click add new view and click board. Okay, so now you can see what Brooke is doing on Monday, on Tuesday, and on Thursday. If you go back to the table, you can see the data this way. If you go back to the board, you can see it this way. Okay, so this is risky, but now I'm going to show you my Notion. So this is our company, and these are the different streams of work that we have. So again, this is my village. I can go into the coach building. I can go into the product section of the coach building. You can see our roadmap here. You can see the other pages that I have here. I can go back to the coach. I can go into the business side. You can see some principles up here. You can see our roadmap. I can go into leads. You can see what we're currently working on for leads. Currently, I'm working on building an audience, which is what this video is a part of. These are the YouTube scripts. I can pop this open. You can see the script here. I have all these properties attached. These are the release dates. So what that allows me to do is have a calendar view of when these are going to release. And then if I go back to leads, that's up a level. If I go back to business, that's up a level. If I go back to coach, that's up a level. If I go back to Imava, which is our company name, this is kind of our home base. So the last little piece I want to talk about here is called publish. I'm going to go back to this page that we made for Brooke. Let's say you want to share this with Brooke. All you have to do is you have to go up here to this share button and you have to click on publish. And then you hit publish and that's it. You can view the site. You can copy the site link. All you have to do is copy that link and send it to Brooke and she can see exactly this and it looks amazing on her desktop or her phone. So it's a really easy way of essentially building pages and sending them to clients. You can use this for workout plans, nutrition plans, client feedback, anything you want.